All right, hello everyone. We had a few little technical glitches as my learning curve with technology has been quite steep. This is the first time that I've used this wonderful platform to be able to bring on a guest for the first time. So fortunately, Sarah was quite patient with me as we were able to kind of get her into this event. So right now I'm just kind of looking to see if you all can find me. I know Kathy's in the background, so I'm going to ask Kathy to go to our Intuition with Precision page. We're also live on YouTube, so welcome to all on YouTube as well. And so maybe Kathy can just send a little reminder. So I see that there's about 3 of you popping on. If you can just go ahead and put a little note in the chat box, and then I will know that that you can hear us loud and clear and that it's working. And let me know too if you can see Sarah as well. All right, I'm going to close down Facebook. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started, Sarah, because it is recording. So even if no one joins us live right now, okay, we still, I just got somebody popping on saying, hi, I can see you. It all looks good. So, Sarah.
No worries.
This is Sarah Ron Hobby, correct? And the one thing that I didn't know about you is you're Canadian.
I am Canadian, yeah.
I did not. You've been one of my students for a while in the program, and I didn't know until I was trying to reach you for this. I was like, oh my gosh, she's from Canada. So, Sarah, what I'm interested, you are a current student in the Psychic Mastery 1 program. It used to be called the Home Study Program for quite a few years. But what I would really like to hear just a little bit about you, just who you are, maybe, how old you are, what kind of work you do, are you in school? So just tell us all a little bit about yourself.
Okay, thank you. I am, like you said, I'm Canadian. I live in Campbell River, British Columbia, which is on Vancouver Island, so kind of the west coast, but I actually grew up in Prince Edward Island, which is the complete opposite side. So I kind of like gallivanted my way across the country. And I am actually married to an American, so I have some deep American connections there. And he grew up in Nebraska and anyway moved to Colorado and then ended up in Campbell River as well, and we decided to stay there. So nice. I'm 37 now. I'll be 38 years old this year, and I have a 3-year-old daughter. So that keeps me quite busy.
I didn't know that about you either. Nice.
Yeah. She's very interesting. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting to watch her grow into who she is. Both her dad and I are highly attuned people. And so it's going to be interesting to watch her develop her own attunement, especially with our awareness of how attuned we are now, right? Which I don't think my parents really knew how to deal with a child as attuned as I was. The word that they used was sensitive. But yeah, I would just say,
tell me just a little bit more about that.
About being a child. I have a younger brother as well, and I kind of the story that gets told is at one point the doctor was checking him and said like, wow, you have 2 really, really sensitive children. And how that has kind of followed me. And I've always, my mom, I've always been high spirited, I guess would be a word, like very clear on what I needed and my direction and what was right for me. But my mom's mantra was shape the will without breaking the spirit. Shape the will without breaking the spirit. Shape the will. So I think she repeated that. It could have been tattooed on her. And I've had a very similar mantra around my daughter, right? Shape the will, just keep the spirit alive and well. So I credit my my parents, especially my mom, for for definitely trying to do that. And I mean, I feel like there's times where the universe has, not the universe, our culture has really tried to break the spirit a little bit. And I would say this program is one of the ways that I've been trying to help myself find that wholeness back into my spiritual self. So yes, childhood.
So did you feel like you were intuitive? Was that a word that you would have used at that age? And did you feel like the young people around you, because you're young, you know, you're going to be 38 this year. Did you feel like other friends of yours when you were younger were also sensitive, or did you feel a little different?
I felt a little bit different. I felt like there was, you know, I was constantly kind of a too much role, right? Like I just had too much energy or too much feeling. It had a lot of feeling, lot of feelings. You know, it just felt things really deeply. I felt injustice really, really deeply. And I think that those were some of the earlier memories that have kind of shaped some of the, I would say some of the more traumatic experiences that I'm now starting to come through to a place of feeling a little bit more empowered around how to act in the face of some injustice versus when I was young, it was like seeing poverty, seeing homelessness, seeing struggling individuals, just not able to feel like I had any real power to impact those things because I felt them just so vaguely and so deeply. And I don't know whether I didn't communicate that effectively or whether my parents just really didn't know exactly what to do with that or really even knew what the depth of the impact was.
Yeah. You are the same exact, you're the same exact age as my daughter. And so I can, you know, acutely remember, you know, her coming to me when she was like 15 or 16, and she was just like, the school system is broken, you know, it's so broken. And I remember having to say, what do you mean by that? Because I was this kind of other generation. You have the rules, you have the rule book, and you follow the rules, and everything's going to be right. And yet I was having this daughter. I remember when she went to high school and she hadn't kind of she wanted to interview the high school. Like, who does that? She wanted to interview the high school she was going to go to. And then when she met with the vice principal, she said, you know, do you have your creative classes in the morning? Because I need to get my creative juices going before I can do my math, science, and history. And I'm like, who thinks like that? And so as you're kind of talking, it's like, I can hear it from your perspective, very similar things.
Yeah, I would say a potential kind of glitch in some of my history would be my brother has some very amplified sensitivities. We, you know, suspect he's actually estranged from our family right now, which is a challenge for all of us. We suspect he had some early trauma, medical trauma that wasn't addressed. And so growing up, he required a lot of support. And I remember, you know, getting off the bus and he would just collapse at the bottom of the driveway in tears. We lived in a very rural community. So, you know, I'd have to walk up the driveway to go and tell my dad, like, Joseph's, my brother, he's not coming. He's not coming up. He's just crying at the bottom of the driveway. And this was kind of on repeat for a long time.
Yeah.
So I learned if I follow the rules, if I follow the cultural rule book, I'm less of a burden for my parents. So then they can spend more time on my brother's needs because he obviously has more needs than I do. Like, I can understand these concepts. I know what they're asking of me. I can do all of this. It might not have been authentic and in line with my true essence. I sound a lot more like your daughter, where I'm like, I need to do these things to get myself ready.
Yeah.
But I didn't identify with any of those things for a really long time because I really felt like I had to I just put my own, anything that would be disruptive. I wanted to make sure I put it on the back burner.
To give your parents a break as a way to heal, help your parents to heal and help to kind of cope with the family, it sounds like. And I know my son is in a similar position, although He's doing excellent now, but that story is quite similar. So it sounds like you kind of flew under the radar. You just did what you had to do to cope with life to get through it. And then you became this adult and you started to kind of be able to kind of take charge of your life. So I imagine you stayed in the school system, and I imagine, did you end up going to higher education, and what do you do now?
Yeah. I went to university. I went to the University of Guelph for human kinetics, and I say I'm really grateful I had a great human kinetics program, because I didn't go for human kinetics. I had fallen completely in love with rugby as a sport, which I think is a real way.
Oh my God, that tells me a lot about you. That tells me a whole lot.
Tell me what that tells about me.
Well, just the strength, but also that really kind of rugged, it's rugby, that rugged personality, and that you have a lot of energy that you need to get out. You've got a lot of strong energy, and you have an outlet to help you get that out.
Yes. And you're absolutely nailing it. I did not realize how much I needed rugby until I stopped playing. And I stopped playing because my body couldn't sustain that degree of intensity, but yet I still needed an outlet. And I think I've spent the last 10, 12 years since ending my rugby career really starting to understand, like, what do I do without that physical, that real, like not just the physical outlet. I love the running. I love, I still run actively, love running, at speed. I love dynamic movement, but the feeling, and people think it's crazy, but the feeling of like your face hitting the ground and you're just like smooshed in with the earth.
Exactly.
There's people over top of you, and it's just, this kind of exciting, mush of people and bodies and teamwork and teammates and sweat and tears and laughter and joy.
And I remember,
how do you replace that?
Yeah, we were on a teaching call, one of the Zoom calls, and I was like, wow, Sarah, you've got some powerful energy. Like, you've got this capacity to really manifest. I could really read that in your energy field. And then I told the rest of the group, it's like, if you want to manifest like Sarah, you're going to have to step up your game. And I remember that you posted, I can't believe you didn't tell me to turn my energy down. So tell me a little bit more about that.
I fully expected you to say, like, give other people a chance. Stop manifesting so hard. Like, just like, don't be you. And I've kind of gotten that message.
Oh, wow.
In very variety of different ways, right? Just even, when I'm in the fullest expression of myself, I haven't always felt like that's been the most received by people around me in the world.
Yeah. And that's, I was surprised by your surprise. You were just like, I can't believe you didn't tell me to turn my volume down, turn my, power down. You told everybody, let's rise up. Let's use Sarah as that example. Let's rise up and because you are a great manifester. So how did you find out about psychic mastery, and what was that process like? Because what I'm also curious about, you were always sensitive, you kind of flew under the radar, but when did it really, your intuition start to really rise up and get your attention again?
I'll answer the second question first. After I finished my degree, so I continued on to do a master's of physical therapy. So I'm a physiotherapist in practice. And when I finished that program, I was actually not very well. I suffered with high, severe insomnia and some severe digestive issues. So I was sleeping maybe 3 or 4 hours a night, and I was waking in what I now would say would be panic, but I wasn't aware of it. I just would wake up and move on, get going. And I really decided at that point that I needed to slow down to start to learn to heal. And one of the ways I did that was through writing and through learning to sit quietly. And I never called it meditation. I just called it sitting quietly. And I would often, when I was sitting quietly, And I'm not sure. I would either, I would either see something, or I would hear something, or I would get a knowing sense or a feeling sense of something that was coming through me that wanted to be written, that wanted to be communicated through writing. And so that was happening at the same time as I was coming into my physio career. And I was astounded at the start of my career, where I was working at a clinic that had these 15-minute time slots with people, and they used a lot of modalities. So by the time you kind of get a bit of a catch up and you decide what treatment approach you're going to take, you really get about 5 to 7 minutes with people. And I was surprised how much I could really shift for someone in 5 to 7 minutes by just getting a sense of what they needed to hear, what they were going through, what was happening for them, like just what little bits of information they might, this little thing that I read that might address their situation a little better. Like, I don't know exactly what I was doing, but when I moved to a different practice model where it was like 30 minutes, I was like, what can I do in 30 minutes? And I was able to kind of put people's, put people's injuries and illnesses into a little bit of perspective around what else was happening in their lives. But at this point, it started to feel a little like the metaphysical element still felt, I would say, dangerous, right? Because I'm an evidence-based practitioner. I need, like what's happening in your body. And my context then was, in order to stay in my profession, what's happening in your body has nothing to do with anything else that's happening in your life.
Oh, interesting.
So to make that correlation was inherently unsafe, but I couldn't not do it because it was so healing for people, right? But it's also not my job. Like, I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm not a counselor. But it's like, could this tension holding have anything to do with that, with that grief that you're experiencing, or with that loss, or with this impending, with your wedding that's coming up, or with that conflict that you're going through at work, whatever. So it's kind of landing for people that way. So I kind of had a sense that there was, and some intuition there, maybe, whether I would have called it that.
How did you kind of hear about the program? And so it sounds like it took quite a bit for you to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to jump in.
Well, I didn't really know what I was jumping into, which is kind of how I jump. Like, one of my greatest friends, who's also in the program, but she doesn't come to a lot of the Mentoring Mondays or the conference calls, but her name is Sarah Stroh. We went to school together, physio school together. And we've maintained a lot of touch sense and talk a lot about kind of the bigger picture of healing. And she sent me a link to the program, said, I think I'm going to do this as a first stage towards, deepening my own capacities as a provider, but also just for myself. And I didn't even listen to your intro to the program. I just was like, oh, intuitive mind. Oh, sweet. I can always work on whatever intuition is or means, right? Because intuition can
smart.
A lot of people. Yeah, I'll just jump in. Sure. I'm like, you're doing a thing? I'll do it with you. No problem. Right? It was like $200 off. That's a good deal. Let's do it. So so truly I jumped in and started the meditations right away before our first conference call. And I thought, oh, this is a really great way. So I actually would have called it a meditation course at first. It was teaching me how to meditate and how to, run my energies through my body, and how to, how to structure meditation in a way that was beyond just sitting quietly, which I felt was going to be very therapeutic for myself. And I didn't really know where it was going to take me with my healing practice. As a clinician, I just thought, well, this can't be harmful for me to give this a try. And then it was the first conference call that said, I'm going to change this to Psychic Mastery, that changed the name of the program to Psychic Mastery 1. And that was when I was like, oh, universe, this is interesting. You need to help me reevaluate my context of what a psychic is. And I'll tell you what, when you said the word psychic, I picture, behind in a dark, discreet doorway off of, some kind of down the back alley street in whatever big city, and you kind of go in and there's a dingle on the door, and you go behind the dark screen and it's a dark green. You got the hoop earrings on the person with the big turban around their head,
the gem on the forehead.
Necklaces.
I have to tell you, I thought the same thing.
And there's got to be a golden orb on the table that they look into to see your future. And I was like, that will never be me.
Yeah. And so how many months have you been in the program now? Because you were pretty clear with me on one of our conference calls. You said, look, I just made peace with intuition, and now you're changing the name to Psychic Mastery, and I don't know what to do with this. But that was quite a few months ago. You stayed, you didn't run away.
Oh no. I really do get when the universe puts me in that kind of situation. I'm able to laugh now, where I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Now what do you need? Where do you want me to go from here? But definitely there's an element professionally that I really have to feel like I balance. Like we're, as a physio, we're very proud of being an evidence-based practice, evidence-informed practice. Evidence is very, based in this like scientific model of you do X and Y happens. But then there is a lot of individuality and gray, and how we quantify that and identify that, and even identify our own skills as a clinician. What is intuition other than a whole host of information that you're getting from, we say, somewhere. It's based on your past experience. It's based on the science that you've read. It's based on clients you've seen before. It's based on what you've learned in school or talked to your colleagues about. And it's also based on, those are all based on your senses around all of that. So
in nursing, we call it objective data. So that's tangible. That's what you can see. Their blood pressure's up, their heart rate's up, they're a little blue around the lips. That's objective. They're having a hard time breathing. Subjective data is a person saying, I don't feel good, or I'm feeling weird. That's kind of subjective, because you don't have anything tangible to hang on to that. And that's kind of what intuition in that gray area nursing, just like with you, we just didn't talk about it if it went into the woo-woo world. It's, we tried to always bring it back to something tangible, because I was trained that way. Yeah.
And I still work with that every day. What is really tangible here, so that I can feel, if I couldn't do that, I don't think I could authentically stay in my profession. Really. Yeah. If I wasn't feeling like I could provide that tangible thing, I don't think I could authentically say I'm meeting the requirements to bill as a physiotherapist.
So again, let me just ask you, how long were you how long have you been in the program, and what have you noticed that has happened for you, and just you personally? How about the sleep, how you're feeling, things like that? And then how, if it's changed your practice with your clients, how has that happened?
Yeah, so I have been in the program since August, and and I made peace with the psychic piece of it, from an interesting place of just like, oh, I wonder what, I wonder where this is gonna take me. Right, being in the program with these people, coming to every Mentoring Monday has been extraordinary, just to see what happens for people. I would say I feel much more connected through the work of the program, like through doing the work, much more connected to my own energy field. A lot of techniques that previously would have been described to me like, like an energetic cocoon or creating an energetic bubble or, any kind of things that you say, to keep your energy safe from others. I didn't have any real skills to develop that.
Mm.
And so now I feel a lot more empowered, like, oh, I have these skills to develop these things. One of the healings that I had on a Mentoring Monday was around my transmedium bar and just having energy stuck in the transmedium bar of my energy field. And just the empowerment I feel when I started to feel a little bit sluggish or a little bit like weighed down by someone else's energy. I could just do the head clear out meditation and it seems to really help, right? It's very helpful. And so how it's changed my practice. So in that way, I feel a lot healthier, right? I feel a lot healthier. Like I know how to run my energy. I know a lot more about how to work with or feel into my chakras, which before I kind of knew what chakras were. I knew they were energy centers, but I didn't know how to, how big they were, what they looked like, how you could open or close one, what the impact of that would be, and how beneficial those things are, how to heal them, how to offer yourself some of that healing energy, how to heal other things in relationships, all of those things. It just gives me a much more tangible, like it's like another tool in my toolbox. So I feel like in how it's changed my practice has been also providing my clients with some of these tools if they're important to them. Some of it just around grounding, right? Imagining a grounding cord as opposed to, giving them a tangible thing to imagine, or even like getting them to sense their own energy field and how to start to keep it safe.
So do you bring that into your practice with them?
It's a few people I can. Yeah.
And how have they received that?
Very, very well. I've had a lot of fun with a few people who are open to it. I've had a lot of fun saying, like, how far away can you feel your energy right now? And, they'll tell me how far it is. And then I'll say a name of someone that is really a sympathetic trigger, right? Because I talk about nervous system regulation. And if we can down regulate the system and have it be less triggerable, then their sleep improves, their pain improves, everything improves. So I would, get them to sense their field, say the name of something that's triggering, and then notice what happens. And they'll say, ooh, my energy just like jumped right back into me. It's like this close.
That is so cool.
And it gives them, it's really empowered a lot of them to start to go, oh, I do feel this thing that no one else has ever labeled for me, which is I feel like my energy is really close to me, or I feel like it's quite expansive. Another one, like this one person, obviously kept her energy quite close. Another one could feel the energy of an entire forest that she was in all at one time and would get quite overwhelmed. So we worked on, hey, can you just start to bring that in towards you and have it go out if you need it to, but have it closer to you.
Yeah,
for your
because
turn.
that's one of
And so
the
those things,
techniques that we teach is, learning where you begin and end as a spiritual being, as an energy field, and that your aura is your kind of your first line of defense. It's your protective layer, but that you can intentionally move it out and move it in, and that's amazing.
Yeah. So for me personally, I would say, having that named and having it normalized, I think has been really, really powerful. And some of the things you mentioned about people with autoimmune conditions where their aura is like, inside of them, I would call that very akin to like a freeze response from the nervous system perspective. And now to be able to go, oh, my energy is like right inside of me. I'm quite frozen right now. It's been really empowering to be able to put the energetic terms to it.
It is. Yeah.
And I found the same with a few of the clients that I've been able to approach that with. And some will come after an appointment with their naturopath, who I work quite closely with, will say, as part of their prescription, I want you to put an energetic cocoon around you at the beginning of the day. And I'll say, did she talk to you about how to do that? And they're like, no idea. like I know what she means, but I don't know how to create that. And so the program has really helped put some tangible.
Yeah, because it's the step by step, and it's slow if you need it to be slow, and your learning is fast if you need it to be fast, if you're just integrating it pretty quickly. But really goes to those step by step over the 12 months. Now, let me just kind of bring it back as we kind of start to wrap up a little bit. How about your daughter? You said you've got a 3-year-old daughter, and
I do,
are you
yeah.
teaching her any energetic awareness?
Not in any, I don't really feel like, don't feel a confidence in knowing how yet. It hasn't really come up organically from me to be like, oh, I need to teach her about this.
So
but
let me come from a different angle then.
Okay.
Do you notice her behaviors shift and change as you change your energy? Like if you increase your grounding, do you notice things about her? If you're in a calm state, do you notice what do you notice there when you're working with your own energy?
Yeah, I notice that when I'm more grounded, she shifts because she is more, like, I think she feels more like calmer in my presence. And I've also noticed her ability to, and maybe this is from the age that she's transitioning to, but also her ability to kind of speak her mind around what she's comfortable with and not comfortable with is beyond what I would expect at her age. Where if her father and I are having a little more of a heated conversation, she'll be like, guys, calm down. Kind of like trying to, and it's good for us to be like, we're not upset with each other, we're just trying to work through something, and we're both really we both have a lot of energy around it. And so she's able to hear that. Or I will, yes, I do talk a little bit about, like, we just need to calm our energy down a little bit so that we can think clearly, right? I need to use some words. Go ahead.
Let me just ask about then your husband. So I imagine you share with him kind of what you're learning, and how's that go for you?
It goes, he's very, very receptive. He just kind of laughs along with me. And I think he's really noticed that the more grounding I have and the less I take on his energy, the more capacity he has to heal himself and the less attached it is, right? So it's helped. I think we can often, there's nothing, in some relationships, codependency can be very workable. In ours, it definitely does not work very well. And so any energetic meshing that we have from past experiences, the more I work with my own energy, the more it gives him the opportunity to deal with what's his, and I can deal with what's mine. And then we can meet.
I think that's so amazing. Yeah, it's so amazing that you notice that, because that's exactly what happens. And often when I'm working with students, it's like, okay, try to make some separations from, your children or your husband or your wife or your mother or father. That concept, it's like your relationship is going to improve, but it doesn't feel that way at the time. Now, I just want to bring it to one other level, and that's back to you again. So you've been in the program since August. You said that you were having issues with insomnia. How do you kind of feel as a person now? And do you feel like your energy is more balanced? Are you still struggling with sleep and other issues?
I have had a few struggles I had less struggles with sleep earlier on. I've had a few recent struggles, which I think have actually been due to the words I would use with nervous system is thawing. Like I feel like I've come out, like my energy is coming out of my body. I'm starting to feel it more. And so it's disrupted my sleep a little bit. When we went through that huge kind of surge through the full moon and the equinox in that similar there was a lot, I felt a lot of energy start to move through me.
Yeah.
And waking up in the middle of the night, it was not like a panic or an anxiety. It's just like, wow, I got a lot of energy here. What do I do with it? It didn't feel ungrounding the way that I felt before when I felt panic or anxiety, but it just felt like, okay, I'm starting to really feel this energy that I've kept inside and tried to contain for so long, but now what do I do with it? So I'd say that this exact moment is not an accurate representation of the
and that's yeah, what I can hear you saying is that you have more of that sense of, oh, this is what's going on. You know, I don't need to hang
Yeah.
my hat on that. There's not a problem. I'm not broken. I'm not sick. You know, there's a lot of energy happening in the world right now. And I might, I might just need to ground a little bit more the next few days and run my energy a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. And make sure I'm hydrated and understanding energy and hydration, right? And just those you know, making sure I'm getting for my walks and getting outside
Yeah.
and being in
Yeah.
nature and just doing those real simple basic things that you really continue to remind us of, are things that I would normally do, but having that reminder is really nice. So I would say even the biggest change would be where previously, you know, if I would wake up in the night and it was consistent for a few days, I would be like, what is wrong? Why am I waking up again? Whereas now I'm like, wow, I got a lot of energy moving through me. I don't really know what to do with it yet, but I trust that I'm going to figure it out. And this is part of this journey of learning
Nice. Nice.
how to channel this energy.
Yeah, yeah, because I often, yeah, I'll say, you know, I've been doing this 28 years. Doesn't mean I don't ever have a problem. It does not mean I don't get cranky. It doesn't mean that I don't get frustrated or angry. You know, it doesn't mean that I don't overeat when I'm feeling stressed rather than reaching for meditation. However, what it does mean is that return to grounded centeredness comes quicker and quicker and quicker as I just keep practicing. So just before we wrap up, is there anything that you would like to share with any kind of message, any kind of last thoughts that you might have before we finish up this call?
I feel like there's so many different ways that you could do this program, like that you can benefit from this program. I mean, I've taken it on probably, you know, more than my friend like Sarah has in some ways. Like I'm attending all the calls. I've set aside that time. I really enjoy it. It's a great community to connect with. But also you get so much from the audios and the readings and just, you know, doing your practice. I don't meditate twice a day right now the way that I would love to. I'd love to have to do the 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening, and I'm still working on how to do that. So I guess the message would be like, there's no wrong way to do it if you feel called to do it. Like I just got called to jump in and do it, not knowing what it was going to mean. But at this far into it, I'm realizing like if you feel like it's the right thing to do,
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with jumping. There's nothing wrong with jumping.
There's nothing wrong with jumping and, you know, figuring it out later. But I just want to say it is an absolute delight having you in Psychic Mastery 1 program. And I just want to say to everyone else who joins, as Sarah said, she is one of the tried and true, constant, consistent people that every Monday we have what's called Mentoring Monday. And so I come on those Mentoring Mondays and we mix it all up and we kind of really work with different energies and just kind of come at different perspectives to kind of think about. So you'll see Sarah there very often. And it's delightful having you in the program. And thank you so much for coming on and talking today. I know we had that little like, oh my gosh, I can't find her. But thank you for being so ready and so willing. And just thank you for being you. All parts of you, including rugby you. I just love it. I'm not going to forget that.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for inviting me, Nancy. This is a pleasure.
Thank you. I'm just going to exit you out, but you'll still be on. And thank you, everyone, for joining today. And at 4:00, I'm going to be speaking with Gia Stoll. She's another really cool current Psychic Mastery 1 student that you'll get to meet at 4:00 live today here on Intuition with Precision. Thank you all for those who joined in. I appreciate it.